In this video, I'll show you a team that can do good against Surt, guild boss. So Surt has a similar special effect to Dominion, which is that it does more damage as you progress through the fight. And then you will also do 50% more resonance damage to Surt. Which resonance is basically the follow-up attack, which is why Yusuke is really good here. And then increase party size damage again for Yusuke. Then this special effect is if you have Guardian or Medic, you will do more damage to the opponent and you will take less damage from the opponent. So make sure you have a Medic or Guardian. And this is the team. This is the more free to play one. I guess except for Yusuke. If you don't have Yusuke, you borrow from someone else like me. I don't have Yusuke, so I borrow from Zoshu Hehe from my guild. And before I start explaining the team, if you have Rin, you can replace Shun with Rin because Rin is better. Because Shun's main purpose is to debuff the enemy, and Shun can only debuff with skill 2. I guess I'll just start with him. So Shun is Ice, which means he can activate the Ice Harmony, and he is in the team mostly for Smash Hit, skill 2, to debuff the defense. If you think you're gonna die, the next turn you use skill 3 to heal up. If you think you're okay, use skill 2. And then this passive is also really good for the gun, so you can technically AoE debuff, but it's quite luck based. There's a chance that you will miss a few enemies from the debuff. And then his revelation card is this. So more HP, he can also debuff as well, so extra debuff. And I do have his 4-star weapon here, so more HP also because he scales on HP. And then here is a stat screen for you guys to see. The next member is Yusuke, which I borrowed from someone else, so I didn't build this. So Yusuke is a pretty good character. And one very important thing for Yusuke is that you need to make sure that Yusuke is the first to move, which I'll explain later why that's important. You just need to make him as fast as possible. So skill 3, you use skill 3 first turn and then use skill 2 next. So just keep alternating these two. Skill 3 will enable counter attack, and then your next counter attack will do AoE damage, which is really good. And skill 2 is basically your damage, your regular damage. Skill 1 you won't be using. And then the very important thing is that he scales on defense, so you want him to have as high defense as possible. He also do more damage if you have shield, like for this passive. Every time you get shield, you increase the damage you do up to 6 times. This one also increase your pierce rate by 20%. Pierce rate I think is the most powerful multiplier in the game, so pierce rate is really good. So if you have cards with pierce rate, make sure you give it to him also. So basically a lot of shield and defense for him to do as much damage as possible. Then for revelation card, it is the opulence one, which is this best one, which is increasing ice damage, and also even resonance damage also, which is his follow-up attack. And then this one, increase crit damage when activating resonance, which will further increase damage. Weapon is 5-star weapon, so basically increase defense and then increase counter attack damage at the start, which is quite useful because your enemy moves first in this fight. One interesting thing is also that every time you get a shield, you will get a 2% increase to your counter attack damage. And then if you have 6 stacks, it's 30% and the effect is permanent. So make sure shield, important. And that's where Yuki comes in. Right now, as of now, Yuki is the best in slot for Yusuke because Yuki can give defense buff as well as shield. So her skill 2 is basically giving shield to your ally. And of course you will use this on Yusuke. And then not only that, it will also give you blessing stacks and oath. These two are quite important for Yuki's kit, and it's important because it directly affects your skill 3, which is where you buff even more. So with your skill 3, right, if you have more than 2 stacks of Gavel, and you get Gavel from getting blessing, which you get from skill 2, so if you have a lot of Gavel, you will consume the Gavel and then increase your party damage. The Gavel can stack up to 5 times, so the more stack you have, the better it is, because you will buff your team's damage even more. And not only that, you also give a shield to the entire party, which is important for the survivability because you have no healers in the team other than skill 3. And then the shield can also directly buff Yusuke's passive. And we will be using her highlight also because it increases the defense, which will again directly buff Yusuke. And for a passive, when an ally has oath, which will be Yusuke will have this because he uses skill 3. And then at the start of battle, she will also grant oath to a random ally. So make sure you keep resetting until Yusuke is the one who got this. Then for her revelation card, I have the prosperity set. So 25% gauge. This one is quite important, especially for this team because you will actually use your highlight on the very last action. So for this team especially, or for this fight especially, it's important to have the prosperity set. If you don't have it on Yuki, make sure you have it on someone else, so you can make sure you have the final highlight attack. Then the other side, the trust and prosperity, this one will increase damage after using a skill. to your party, so that's nice. Sadly, I do not have a 4-star. I do not have a 4-star weapon, so it's just 3-star, level 50. So Navigator obviously is going to be Puppet because she can increase defense and give shoot. So it being skill 1 and skill 3, very simple because you give shoot and then you increase defense. And then the more stacks of seashells you have, the more defense you increase from this one, right? Then for Revelation card, it's this one. Sadly, I don't have the set one because I don't have the card. Her best set is actually the Faith, this one, which I don't have, so that sucks. So basically, the higher increase defense and shoot for the cards. Weapon, I have a 4-star weapon for more shoot and defense. Then this is a set screen. Now it's time for Wonders Persona. So Wonders Persona is going to be a bit interesting because you will actually be using Apsaras, a rank 2 persona, and it's a level 35. And it's a 2-star persona also. She actually quite useful here for Yusuke. The first thing is that she is an ice type, which means more resonance. Although the increase is not that big because it's only 10% to 12%. It's only a small increase, but it's still an increase. And then for the passive, right, after using a skill, you increase the defense. So this is a defense buff here. Then she has Rebellion to buff crit, Rokokaja to buff defense, Marakokaja to buff defense. And also auto Marakokaja, so that it will increase defense and start better. So the thing about the auto skills in P5X compared to the mainline Persona games is that the effect actually wear off if you swap personas. So that kind of sucks, but for this fight, I'll be using Apsaras for like the first 2 turns, so that this one will actually stay. So you have 2 Rokokaja here, both of you can stack, and then extra defense from the passive, so Apsaras is actually pretty good here. The next one is Surt for Marakunda to debuff defense, which is useful because there is like 5 targets, right? The last one is this one, Skadi, and I use her for mostly the damage, Ice Boost, and Attack Master. So some damage, you'll be using her for the last turn. If you don't have her, you can use like Jack Frost for someone. Doesn't really matter because last time is just for extra damage. And with that, let's start the fight. Okay, Fox got the oath. That is good. So another reset. Let's see how many counter attack hits. Okay, 2. Best case scenario is of course all of them. Okay, 1 miss. 2 miss. Oh man. Okay, that's not too bad. So Fox is gonna use skill 3 first to activate the counter attack. And just remember to always make sure Fox is the first to move. And the reason why you want him to be the first to move is because of his counter attack. So you can imagine that if you put Fox as the last one to move, and then you buff him, and then on his turn you use a counter attack, which means that you're actually wasting a turn of buff of him doing nothing, if that makes sense, right? So picking him the first will ensure that you won't waste a buff on him, because on the first turn he's not going to do damage. He's just putting up a counter attacking stance, so you don't have to buff him on the first turn for him to do damage, because the first turn he's not even doing damage. But he will do damage on his counter attack, but by the time you counter attack, you will be buffing him already. But yeah, let's go with Soy. Skill 2 on some, doesn't matter which one, just one of the Pyrojack. But I'll put on the most right one because it's easier to remember. Then for Yukimi, I'll use skill 2 on Fox. There always other auto targets to Soy, which is annoying, but skill 2 on Soy. On Fox, this will give him the shield and the blessing stack, and also increase Yukimi's oath stack. So that's good, because the oath stack will buff her skill 3, which we will need later. Now we Rebellion Fox to buff the crit, and also defense of course from the Apsara's passive. Okay, I see 200, almost 250k, really good. Another one, nice. Of course, quite luck based, you just have to pray that the counter always triggers. Okay, here we go. Another one maybe. Okay, nice. So similar to Dominion fight, this fight also does less damage at the beginning, but more damage as you progress. So we use Puppet skill 1 to get on the shield. So every time you give a shield, Yusuke will do more damage because of his Painter's Focus passive here. 7.5% damage increase. I can set up to 6 times, which is a lot. And right now I have, I think 4 maybe? 4 or 5, 4 of them. And then Fox skill 2 to do damage. 100k, really solid. Soy, okay, highlight first. Highlight, I'm gonna use Wonder's one. Wonder probably has a better buff. It's a higher percentage, I think. Then you do this. Make sure you hit the different target so you can debuff 2, right? So that's important. Just make sure you hit a different one. I'll use skill 2 again. And that's so that I can mix up my Oath. And Fox can also mix out, or at least increase the stack. The Painter's Focus now is at 4 stack here. So he'll do more damage. Then Wonder can use Apsara's Marakukaja. I'm using Marakukaja so that I can buff everybody, including Yukimi. Because Yukimi will be using skill 3 next turn, which scales on defense. So if I Marakukaja, I'll also buff her. Okay, so I can do a bit more damage. Come on. Looking a bit dangerous now. There's no healer on this team, so that's a bit dangerous. So now Fox with skill 3. Well, Fox basically just keep alternating skill 2 and skill 3. Very simple. Okay, make sure Puppet. Skill 1 again. Okay, so more shoot. And then Soy will use skill 2 again. This one, I think you can target the right one again because I think it already wore off. Smash it no more. Yeah, there's no more, so I will skill 2 the right side again. The debuff. And then Yukimi can use skill 3 now. She has max stacks, so she will buff a lot. Then make sure you use this to target the Pyro Jack that has the debuff. So the right or the second to the right. So we will maximize damage and also buff at the same time. And now let's look at Fox's stats. 6,000, 6.6k defense, pretty good. And then he has the Oath for growth, very important. And then the Painter's Focus at max stacks. Marakukaja, Rebellion. Has some defense up. So that's a lot of buffs. So now we can use Highlight. Oh, big damage. Okay, that's good damage. No wonder now I'll go to Rakukaja on Fox. Marakukaja and Rakukaja can both 400k, can both stack. Okay, doing good. Okay, I think everything activates so far. Oh, of course it does, because after using her highlight, Fox will have 100% chance to trigger full out attack for 3 turns. So it's really nice. And then for Soy will use actually the gun. Make sure you target everything. Okay, make sure that they have the firepower thing. Okay, I don't think all of them got it, unfortunately. So these are all random. This one don't have. This one have. This one have. This one have. Okay, so 4 out of 5 have. That's pretty good actually. So now we can skill 2 on Fox. Okay, make sure you target Fox. Remember that. Don't misclick. And then for Puppet, I will actually use skill 3 here because to tank more, because they're gonna start to do a lot of damage. So I'm gonna grant more shield to everybody. But sadly we do not have enough seashell stacks to get the damage buff, but that's fine. You know, I do have enough seashell stack. I do have enough. Okay, then that's good. Okay, now I can swap to Surt and use Marakunda for AoE debuff. Okay, that's quite a bit of damage. Okay, we just keep doing the damage. Okay, I wonder he's gonna die really soon. Ooh, that's dangerous. I hope we can tank one more, I'm not too sure. But yeah, skill 3 on Fox. Get a counter. And then I can use highlight. I will use Yukimi's highlight. And then make sure you target the one that has the most debuff. So you have to check. I think the right one has the most debuff. Yeah, it's Marakunda, the gun from Soy. Only these two. Oh yeah, only that two. So I'll target that on the right side. For maximum damage. Yeah, her highlight will give defense buff to everyone. Now for Soy, ideally you want to use skill 2, but this is dangerous because Wanda is dying, so I have to use skill 3 here to heal a bit, just in case. So to make sure that Wanda can tank the last turn. Yukimi can use skill 3 because she has mixed stacks and target on the right side. Okay. Wanda can use Maraku Kaja to buff everybody. Okay, so we have a lot of defense buff. How much is this? 440k. Good damage. Okay, we should tank this. Okay. Okay, very nice. Then Yusuke, skill 2. Nice. Soy can use skill 2. Or actually, he can just use skill 1 honestly. Or skill 2 also works. Skill 1 also works. Skill 1 is might be better actually, because it does damage and it's the last turn anyways, right? But yeah, now skill 2. No, only skill 2 anymore because last turn you can just use skill 1 and do AoE damage. Doesn't matter anymore. And everybody still has the skill 3 buff anyway, so using skill 3 is pointless. Okay, do a little bit of damage. Then the final turn. Final turn is where you use the final character, the final persona I haven't used. So we use the highlight here, since Foxes is still cooldown, right? So we use this one, do some damage. Okay, that did less than Yukimi with her skill 1. That's crazy. Okay, for the last one, Mapu Fudain. Let's see how much. 13k. And that's all. How many points? 19k. That's really good.